Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat on the way in. What's going on, y'all? What's going on? So, Mr. Z keeps his promises, right? So, we are continuing the conversation from last night, speaking about the false promise of manhood. That not really the left. The left ain't promising manhood, actually. Yeah. So this one is not actually a left right part of the conversation, right? But the right is promising some type of manhood. Um, will they be able to deliver? Probably not, right? But will they get a lot of men to sign up because of dun 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 the way they feel? Of course, right? So continue the conversation. Yes, I'm going to bring the panel up. Yes, I see PK is in here, right? Or at least he was in here. I'm not sure if he still is, but y'all give me a few minutes, maybe a good 20-25 minutes before I bring the panel up. So continuing the conversation, and being a little bit more concise than I was last night, what I was attempting to forward to everyone is that the right doesn't have answers either, right? At least not genuine, good faith answers, right? Because they would have to go after the same corporations that they help to fund, that they cut tax breaks and loopholes for, right? Because what makes a man, doesn't exist in a vacuum. Your environment helps to create that, right? The social rules help to create that, right? And that's very difficult for some people to actually understand because they think they can be a man in a vacuum, right? God damn, I didn't make it. Sorry, y'all. That was a waste of gas. Anyway, so yeah. So your manhood doesn't exist in a vacuum, right? It doesn't exist in a vacuum. And that's something that I think that we struggle with, even some black men. And so my commentary was somewhat answering Dr. Thunder, shout out to Dr. Thunder, and answering Tim Pool, right? How do we help young boys and young men to become these, positive, good role models for future generations and be air quotes men in a vacuum when we don't help to create the structure, right? Like I said, the right has its own version of respectability, right? The right has its own version of respectability. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps, right? All of that. And so you kind of end up where we are now, where young men are pretty much throwing their hands up, becoming increasingly indifferent, not just towards women. Let's be very clear. They're not engaging with just about any institution. Not church, not education, not relationships and marriage. For those that can, they're staying out of the workforce for as long as possible, as often as possible. And the question for the entire society is, why would they? So the right can capitalize on this for a little bit, for a little while, right? Because the young men are disillusioned, so they're calling themselves more conservative because the left looks like the party for the women, period, in a vacuum, right? The left looks like the party of people with alternative sexual lifestyles.
and the right looks like the party for the men's men. Never mind the fact that your uncle was a trad con, his wife ripped him to shreds. Your dad was a trad con, your mom ripped him to shreds. Never mind that. Never mind that you're a trad con, you can't get a date. Never mind that. But the right looks like the side of where the men's men are. Right? Is that true? Probably not. Right? So Dr. Thunder is correct about the optics and how this looks and how this presents and how the left does come off as the party of the soy boys. And even if the left has ideas and programs and things it wants to institute that would actually be beneficial for working class, poor, lower middle class, even solidly middle class people, if you look like the party with the kind of limp-wristed culture, young virile men, excuse me, they're not signing up for that. It looks lame, it looks corny, it looks weak. Emphasis on the weak. Right? So maybe with a chart, right? A bar graph chart, you can show, look, we can improve your life like this, and then life expectancy and health and da. But also what comes with this is a whole lot of kowtowing and pretending like the women aren't human beings, and they're and the men are just, the young boys are just not signing up for that. They're not. Right? And the even more intelligent and aware young men would rather have nothing to do with either side. They're not going to use the right to kind of troll the left and poke the left in the eye. They're just over it. Right? Truly indifferent. And yes, the left has a man problem. The Democrats have a man problem, if you want to consider the Democrats the left. Ugh. Right? So my response yesterday was a response to Dr. Thunder, Tim Pool, about the fact that unionization has gone to the crapper. You have an increasing amount of young people, men and women, doing 2 jobs plus. Where's the time for intimacy? Where's the time for family building? Where's the time for family rearing, for rearing children? Where's the time? While we still have the ghost of patriarchal standards on men. So, dear lefties, it don't matter how educated your daughter gets, she still wants a man that has more. You're bad. It doesn't matter how more educated she gets. It doesn't matter how much more she earns. She still wants a man that earns more, that has more. I would like to direct you to Ebony K. Williams. I would like to direct you to the hordes of women that called in the Kevin Samuel show. Right? So it's clear that the left doesn't have answers. That's why, Christine Imba is around right now, and that's why Richard Reeves is around, and that's why Scott Galloway is around. It's clear the left doesn't have an answer, and they're trying to find some way to get the men back on board. Ego stroking men with talk of patriarchy for mean, angry, bitter feminists. Yeah, nope, you could keep that. But the right has an answer. It's called 1950s dynamics between men and women, which didn't exist for the majority of black men and black women. So I guess for white men and white women, right? And so, you know, how does this work in the current environment? It doesn't. It's not. 60-40 split college enrollment, women to men. More and more young men living at home with their parents well into their early 30s. Right? According to Richard Reeves, these young men are completely out. It's not even that they're not going to college or university, but then going to attending some type of technical school. They're not even engaging in that. Right? And as Scott Galloway says, when you have a whole lot of what he calls rudderless men, rudderless young men, your chances for social upheaval increases, vastly increases. Well, right? Why would the young men sign up for that in mass? Most young men, why would they sign up? Right? And so Tim Pool pokes fun and mocks, the soy boys on the left, and he mentions Jimmy Dore, and but Jimmy Dore's not gonna get any traction kind of talk, right? As a person on the left. But yeah, okay, so optics, the right is full of the gun-toting, chisel chin, 6'3" tall white dude with the 5 o'clock shadow, right? That's what the right is full of. America, right? America. Yeah. But when you start speaking to those men about the average man, even the average white man, and what it would take to put those men in position to be the men of yesteryear, all of a sudden, they don't want to do that. They don't want to do anything about the union busting. They don't want to trust bust, right? They don't want to do anything about the near monopolies. They don't want to challenge the gig economy. They love it. It's great for their bottom line. Right? They don't want to raise minimum wage. They don't want to increase, fathers' parental leave time, especially, for newborns. No, they don't want to do any of that. So how are we supposed to maintain this, But that's the catch. We're not. Right? I also say, the right is really offering well-ordered white supremacy, other than the chaos going on the left. Right? what is pansexual, right? What is non-binary? Why is the left coming up with some new terms or new words every 5 seconds? What does cisgendered mean? So the right offers, you know, some ideas or something that harkens back to simpler times. The right offers you neoliberal capitalism unfettered, right? That's what they offer. Other than the simps on the left, right? I also put out a challenge there to say, does the right really want to have a conversation about simps? Do we really want to start pulling cards so we could see what a right-leaning simp looks like with all your fake traditional talk? Sounds like a paymaster to me, right? Hmm. I also speak about how some of these, some of this tradcon ideology is what helps to raise the most entitled, delusional, materialistic women that the world might have ever seen, right? I spoke about the authoritarianism that comes with some of this well ordered white supremacy. And authoritarianism was the enforcement or advocacy of strict obedience to authority at the expense of personal freedom, which, by the way, the left can engage in also. That's not exclusive to the right, right? I forwarded also that, you know, black men don't fit neatly into this political binary, right? It wasn't necessarily made for us anyway. I would say black men actually defy much of this political binary, much of the social one also. I would also say that the you find men that young men aspire to be who are left leaning. They're just black. They're entertainers. They're black entertainers. Now they might be left leaning because grandma was and mom was and great grand was, maybe, right? And finally, I asked the question: what exactly is the right offering? What are they offering exactly? Because if they're not offering the young men anything, but they are poking fun at the men on the left being soy boys, then really what they're doing is just gassing young men's heads up. If they're not going to put young men in position, then they're wasting young men's time and energy. Remember, these are the same people that don't see a near monopoly that they don't fall in love with, don't see a union they don't want to crush, don't have a problem hearing people speak about 60-hour work weeks, 55-hour work weeks, 70-hour work weeks, 80-hour work weeks, having two jobs and a gig. These are the people that love going around saying, hard working. Yeah, we're the party of the hard working American. Hard working, hard working, hard working. Work until you die is what I hear. Hmm. So this was just my, intro. Trail Bentley said, oligarchy now, oligarchy forever. Right. So y'all like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. I'm gonna drop the link in a minute. But it's something. It's it's definitely something to consider, especially the way that Tim Pool presented this. Right. As if the right is the party of the man's man. Meanwhile, we're not going to talk about how much it showed, data shows in these southern states, how much of these men are watching, we'll call it adult content because they're not getting any. And how many of them are secretly watching BBC adult content? Oh yeah, white conservative men watching BBC adult content because low key they might be, having some rainbow sentiments. I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. All right. Oh yeah, there's data on a bunch of stuff, everyone. You could actually have a bit of data overload where the numbers just start running into each other. When the information just starts running into each other. John Jones said, Mrs. Z, this topic is visceral. LOL. You probably the most irrational lefty, bruh. I don't know. I'm gonna put around a bunch of rational because I don't actually think I don't sign up for everything the left pushes, right? And I don't chastise brothers on the right for their political views unless you try to forward something that I think is BS, right? But what I'm arguing is that the right is engaging. This is them engaging in their version of the culture war. Because if we start talking about real tangibles for working class men, so that they can be the men that our society says they want them to be, and that women say they want them to be, then that's going to bite into a lot of wealthy money men, white men, bottom line. And so your elite white men is willing to sacrifice just about every man that's not in the top 20%, right? Hmm. Just something to consider. my whole argument is that the right doesn't have answers either, but it looks good on paper to the young men, to the young boys, the ones that are calling themselves conservative. And as I said before, I don't think they're really conservative. I think they're longing for some type of traditionalism, especially amidst all this chaos. Or what they see as chaos, right? Hmm. Give me 1 second. Okay. And here we go. There y'all go, everybody. Links up. Okay. All right, so links in the chat for anybody that wants to come up. Yeah. Here we go. What's going on, better you?
Nothing much, man. How you doing, bro?
What's going on? Morning.
Nothing much, man. I've been thinking on this more and more recently because it's been popping up in my feed lately. But
Mm-hmm.
100% right. It is nobody has any answers for young men and boys outside of alpha your way through. And it's really
Which is not
it's
the
really
way it works.
it's funny when you think about it because you got some lefties who like FD and Lil Bill. When
Mm-hmm.
you listen to what they're talking about, it's just basically like, yo, y'all niggas is toxic. And it's like, that's not
Yeah.
everybody, bro. That's
Yeah.
not the
Yeah.
majority.
Yeah.
What does
And
that
it's
mean anyway? What does that mean
Wait,
anyway when you say toxic?
name it. Better you feel we gotta go around the table. You next up. You
Oh,
next up.
sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Yeah. You're next up. Yeah. Go ahead, better you. But yeah, you were saying that they're pretty much saying that we're toxic, and that is definitely the impression that FD gave me, especially with the tone policing. And it's like, no, we've let your daughters run it. Much of the reason why your young boys are moving the way they moving, and the reason why
Mhm.
you're even, every once in a while he kind of sticks his nose into the space and see what's going on, and peeks into the space and see what's going on, is because previous generations destroyed the environment for the boys. And so your boys are now throwing their hands up at earlier and earlier ages because they realize how rigged the game is against them. And nobody cares until it's time for your daughters to get married. That's when everybody cares. And when it's time for your daughters to partner up, that's when everybody's like, wait, where's all the men? Oh, there are 20% of them that y'all looking for over there. What about the rest of them? Oh, you didn't create the environment for them, so they're not here.
They're hustling backwards.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
the great thing about it to me is how is it that we seek to create these safe spaces for everybody else, but we don't recognize that
Mm,
the same way that all these other groups that we gravitated towards need a space or need support. But when it comes to black boys and men, it's like you on your own, nigga. And it's sad. It's really sad, and I find it really critical in a lot of ways because it's like,
mm,
how are you gonna how are you gonna advocate for all these other groups? And not saying anything's wrong with that, but how do you not recognize and see the struggle and see that there's something that needs to be addressed with your own?
the then the question then becomes, actually, you know what? Continue because I lost that thought. Right when I said the question becomes, it just the question ran away. Anyway, go ahead, finish up better you and then we'll have Nima.
Yeah, yeah.
Thought I had
And
something, it
I'm
was
just gonna
gone.
and I'm just gonna finish with this. 'Cause I think you probably was going the same place I was going.
Mhm.
What does a society that's out of
Mhm.
balance look like? What does it look like to
Mm.
have a gender identity or gender conformity over dominate one over the other? And
Exactly
what
what
is
it looks
the
like
end
right
result?
now.
But yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
All right.
Yeah. No. That. Yeah. No. No. Go ahead, Naaman. You're next.
You guys, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
All
We can
right,
hear you, bro.
good. Thank God for Bluetooth. Well, first of all, good morning, everybody, and fuck everybody else. But yeah, we keep forgetting to do that every once in a while. Well, here's my question.
Mhm.
Like what he said, like better you said, the whole thing of toxic, because that word gets thrown out frivolously. What the hell do you mean by toxic? It's basically shaming language.
It is shaming language.
It is shaming language.
Mhm.
And I would also argue that the right is low key shaming young men.
Yes.
Because when they
Yes.
because remember, when they take digs on these so-called soy boys, which is actually them insulting, because they always try to say that the left is vegan and everything, not realizing that there are some vegans on the right,
Mhm.
and a lot of them, when they talk about soy boys, they are using a lot of pseudoscience references. Because let's be honest, the right wants to shame everybody by saying things like you got low T, low testosterone and everything, but they don't even know anything about endocrinology. All right, let's get that straight. So when
Mhm.
they say soy boys, they're always talking about phytoestrogens,
Yeah.
but not realizing the only reason estrogen affects a person, it depends on if you're genetically predisposed with certain parts of your anatomy to be affected by estrogen, just like testosterone.
Mm.
That's why you have some guys who can have like barrel chests, but they can only have a feminine voice,
Mm.
because the genes determine what parts of your anatomy are going to be sensitive to the stimulation of testosterone to what extent. So when they're saying soy boys this and that, they're like, you don't want to end up like that guy now, do you? You want to see that dude right
Yeah.
there? You want to
I
you don't want
mean,
to end up like him.
I'm not gonna be insulted by dudes that brag about being paymasters to women that's gonna divorce them in 10 years anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just
Let's
not
not
gonna
forget
listen to
also.
yeah.
Let's not forget
And I
one thing
low
you guys
key
can't.
be watching gay prawn, and I'm just not gonna be lectured down to or be made fun of by dudes that be engaging in going to
You'd be
men's
surprised how
restrooms.
many
Wait. Go no finish name. I'll go after you. I go
what
finish.
you said about prawn. You'd be surprised how many of these
Hmm.
guys are into interracial prom, gay prom,
I
where the
just said
white
that. Yep.
dude is
Yep.
bottom by
Yep. Yep. Yep.
or the c
Trails it in
word,
the
because a
comments.
lot of
Yep.
them, or like I said
Oh
in the
yeah. Yeah.
comments
Yeah.
earlier,
Yeah.
Goldie and shit. Sorry,
Yeah.
was I
Yeah. No,
supposed
you
to
good.
say
No,
that
you good.
word?
No. You're good. You're good. You're good.
But I also
Yeah.
remember something that especially considering like Better you said about how black men and black boys are demonized and everything. I remember Dr. Tiasan mentioned it was one of the older the DeBarge family. He used as an example of how white men sometimes try to impose their masculinity on black men by trying to violate them. Like one of the DeBarge family,
Hmm.
one of the oldest sons talked about how he was violated by their white father, or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Oh, most
It's a
definitely.
C. It's Yeah. Dr. C said that in like one of his early episodes of his show, one of his
Yeah.
earliest streams back a few years
The
ago. So
the Barge father was a oof, menace. Menace.
so
Yeah. He
imagine yeah.
apparently
So
abusive towards the mom. Yeah. Yeah. Did what he did with the older son. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Go ahead.
and the other siblings, they talked about growing up in Michigan, how rough it was for them being mixed race and everything in a black neighborhood.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when you're a black male, they try to pigeonhole you into certain boxes and whatnot. And it's not just black men in America. You see it in Canada, you see it in parts of Latin America, even in Europe, in the Arab world. You're only seen as a man when it's convenient or when you're useful to someone.
Mm.
That's the thing we have to understand when it comes to our masculinity, or us being seen as men or being recognized as men. That's why black men are told, like, That's why Bernie Mac said, "Stop believing other people." As they say, believe in yourself. Of course, he was talking about something else, but Israel's been here. We are in the crossfires. You know, y'all are in the crossfire. Me, I'm over here in Europe. I'm in the crossfire of something else, but it is relevant in a way.
Then what does no what so living in a society where white men are the man, and the society has taken the pretty much you get to play that game at a certain education level and a certain income level. It used to be the entry point, the cost of entry was much lower if you weren't black man. If you weren't a black man, excuse me. Now the cost of entry for this manhood game is far too expensive. The young men ain't gonna put in the effort because it's still not promised that they get to see that out until their death. And the women are delusional and condescending. They don't even know how to play the game they don't even know how to be good manipulators, is what I'm saying.
Nobody even tells the rules of the game, because remember, people say a pen is stronger.
And don't forget your point, PK, because I know you forget. Don't forget your point.
I'm almost done. Mm-hmm. People talk about the pen is mightier than the pen is mightier than a sword. Mm-hmm. Nah, it's actually the pencil. Because on the end of the pencil, it's an eraser.
Yeah,
you can erase and rewrite the rules. Because that's already AKA shifting the goalposts. And at that time, we're talking about the right will, like I mentioned also earlier in the comments, as far as the struggles of men are, the right will never talk about the issues of rising cost of living and the stagnant wages.
Thank you. That's my point. When it's a systemic, they're gonna have to do it. There is no other way. You can only do for selferism and pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Even to white young men, you can only do that so much. How often this nigga could go to the gym? How fat do we want his neck to be? Goddamn, right? Like, so that can only work so much, right? So go ahead, PK. Speak real quick, and then we're gonna go to Kevin. Continue to John Jones. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's actually a portion of what my original disagreement was, is that masculinity exists within a vacuum or manhood exists within a vacuum. And that statement in and of itself is actually, you believe it to be untrue. I believe it to be partially true. It's a half truth, because the truth is that manhood and masculinity, there are barriers to entry. They're not.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
They're not predicated upon female disposition, and it's not predicated upon the society structure. You see, manhood is something that is in the ethereal context, or even in prehistory. If you want to go back to prehistory, the context was, number one, linked to gender, obviously, not identity. It's linked to gender explicitly, and it's linked to your role and function in the society, period. So it doesn't necessarily link binarily to financial wealth. That isn't the prerequisite. It's more so linked to achievement, ability, a whole list of things. However, and also, number one, whether or not you're going to participate in hunts and contracts and the trials and tribulations of being a man. There's a separation in between manhood and boyhood. There just is. You're never going to get away from that. Now, the right is partially correct in their assessment, and I only say partially because, as you said earlier, that what did you say exactly? Fuck, I'm losing my train of thought here. I think you said partially that they're not addressing the main topic of conversation that we had.
The systemic issues.
I do believe that to be an issue. However, that's an aside to the conversation of manhood in and of itself. That is a topic of discussion that is important. However, what they are selling effectively is the barrier to manhood, because what they are talking about are the trials and tribulations that are associated with the transference of boyhood into manhood. And you can't actually shirk that. That's a part of the steps necessary to become a man. It just is. You're never going to escape that. No matter what society you go into, they'll have their own rituals and associated norms, to go through to get to becoming a man, usually associated with puberty and, potentially hunting and, whatever that trial may be. However, the trial still is relatively the same. It hasn't changed and it never will.
All rites
So
of passage, what he means.
correct. So they're actually somewhat correct in their assessment. You can't be walking around here, calling yourself a man while acting as if you were a woman. It just doesn't work that way. You can be essentially a stunted man, or essentially a grown boy. It really is what it is. We got those out here, black, white, or otherwise. So there are trappings associated to manhood that are exclusive to men.
No, I
And
agree
if
with
you
that.
don't gatekeep that, you'll find women in you know what I'm saying, basically masquerading
What we
as
have
if they
now.
correct, masquerading as if they were men.
But let's be
So
very clear too, though. The environment is showing you which one we're perceiving as the how did Nameless word this? The path of least resistance, right? So there's very clear which gender transitions to the other gender. And that should let you know which gender we're all perceiving as the gender that has the path of least resistance right now,
because
right?
there's preferential treatment for females associated within
Exactly.
society. So yes, the
I'm
path
just
of least.
saying.
Yeah, I mean, he talks
Mhm.
about transhumanism, and I believe that, and I even said this, I believe, on one of his streams. I don't know if it was somewhere. I even said that you're going to end up with a problem on the road that we're heading down right now, where men will become more and more uh, disappearing, so to speak.
Yeah. More
You
recluse,
know,
more out of the way, more um
there's
yeah,
going to
I
be
think reclusive, yeah.
a whole host of issues associated with that. Some of them will disappear. Some of
Yeah.
them will, quite frankly, transition into becoming a woman. Because let's be honest here, as the technology becomes more and more feasible, and it becomes more and more obscure to be able to realize what exactly what a woman is, you run into the
Mhm.
dangers of essentially creating a preferential sex, and that will be
I
female
I
once we
I
head down this road.
I just see it as the elites recreating what they did when they first came to America. So when voting was started to become a thing in the West, when democracy, who was the people that were able to vote? Land owning aristocrats and whatnot. So all I see this is as, do we really need these excess males to be reproducing? Do we really need the nuclear family? Do we really need, I mean, like, those of us that are doing pretty damn well, we can maintain this, right? Especially if we got the worker bees work, the workermen bees working,
Well,
right?
it's
That's
as I
tough.
said
Yeah,
prior a while ago, unfortunately, you actually can't have that and sustain a stable society. What you'll
I agree.
find is you'll end up essentially creating a more and more destabilizing force within your society. Number one, either you'll have outside influences essentially destabilize or outright take over your shit, or you'll create infighting and collapse the shit on your own. It's not possible to sustain it over a long period of time. So you can have that over a short period, but any over especially in today's day and age, I would say this was more so a possibility in times
Mhm.
past. But
Mhm.
as we move forward into the future with the types of weaponry and arsenal that we have available at our fingertips, it's just not possible to do that anymore.
Yeah,
You can't create essentially what you're essentially asking for is eunuchs, and you
yeah.
can't do that functionally and have a stable society. It's not possible.
I don't think it needs to be formal. I'm not saying. By the way, I'm not saying that this is going to happen overnight, or this is something that I feel or know is going to happen. Like it's solidified. It's written in stone. I am saying I don't. It wouldn't have to be. It wouldn't have to be formal. It wouldn't have to be written down. I think effectively the environment brings that about to, so I mean, like, when you see 1/3 of men under the age of 30 not having sex in a year, or more, I think that the environment effectively is like benching them. They've been benched,
I
right?
agree with that. However,
you
there's a
know
cost.
Mhm.
There's a large
Mhm.
cost association
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
that's attached to that. Um,
Mhm.
not just for the elites, but for the overall society. As we see over time, we've created a society that is contingent upon men being directly involved in upholding it. If we had a de facto matriarchy where women were actually the ones that were sustaining this place, then maybe things would be different. But that's not what we have. Quite frankly, this country and every single other major nation on the face of this fucking planet, by and large, creates social systems in general, infrastructure and otherwise, that relies on men being at a certain level, and physically and mentally, to sustain it, financially and otherwise. There's just no way around that. So you can't actually shirk men over any extremely long period of time. Like I said, once you get to 50 years, you're going to start to see these types of issues. You can't actually do that.
Well, when we're
Not
just about
sustainably.
there. No, I agree with
So
that. I agree
can
with
I ask
that.
a
Go ahead.
question to you, PK?
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you put that genie back in the bottle, man?
Oof.
So this is what I think. This is my own personal take. Um, I think we've seen it before. This is going to sound unsavory, but you're going to have to bear with it. The truth is that you're going to have a unfortunate collapse here if we continue on this road. And it won't be just here. It'll be probably worldwide if we don't actually create the necessary changes in the environment to
Mhm.
essentially push the genie back into the bottle. Now, there's going to be pain associated with it. I'm not saying that this won't be without strife or physical pain to the elites and the people on the ground. However, primarily the elites.
Let me read this coming from the D Hive real quick, and then we're gonna get Big Kev. And the D Hive says,
Mhm.
destabilizing manhood helps upper class men maintain their social advantages. It creates dissension in lower classes and drives more females to them. Ding, 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 ding. And that's you couldn't say it any better. You could D Hive, you could not. That exactly, exactly.
If I may
Right.
say
So,
something before Big Kev
uh,
comes in.
oh yeah, go ahead.
What about
Give me one
me?
second. Um, um.
No,
Oh
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
You
no,
can come in.
yeah. No,
I just want
we
to
gotta
chime
keep,
in a little
yeah,
bit.
we gotta keep it. We gotta keep the order going. Let me like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Naaman, give me a second. Let me actually get Big Kev because I let PK skip him initially anyway. So
Oh, no
I
problem.
yeah,
apologize for
yeah.
skipping everybody. I apologize for that.
No, you
No, no,
good,
that's
you're
cool.
good.
It's cool.
Oh
Yeah.
I'm gonna change
yeah,
my news
go ahead,
name to
Big Kev,
Skip, dog.
and then John.
I think
Big
Big
Kev.
Kev is all winded because he's probably in the gym working out.
You
He's
know,
probably
Big Kev trying to lose some of that weight. He's trying to get swole on us. All right, so when
Speaking
he
of
get a
which,
chance, he'll speak.
when are you gonna drop the gut? But
Yeah, I don't know. But no, but
anyway,
Naaman, give me a second. Give me a second.
for sure.
John, go ahead.
All right.
Mhm.
I just want to say a lot was going. We talked about the genie in the bottle and all this other stuff. That genie already sleeping out, and um, I that goes before the point I want to make is a lot of the stuff just fundamentally don't make sense. I think that we really have to like overall question like the group think of feminism and neoliberalism and stuff like that, and the road is leading down to a point where they don't even recognize what type of road that they own to even navigate down, and it's
Feminism and
like,
neoliberalism is tag team kicking all working class men's ass. Tag
bro,
teaming.
they're like on Godzilla mode with like really destroying the infrastructure of, I'm gonna say damn near reality. Like reality as we know it is about to like it's like we watching a fat person fall and they're like on their third like stumble and like we're like, oh, it's about to go down because it's look at the articles that's coming out. Look at the topics of conversation and stuff like that. It's no other way
Mhm.
that it looked like what we're watching. We're watching a fat motherfucker about to face plant. Like it is bad. And it's
Mm.
like, and you look at the history of like when we look at thoughts and ideologies and stuff like that. It's always one. It's like it's this thing. Nature will always prevail because there's always a goofy ass like mentality or thought. Or it's like when we look at science, it's always a science that goes defunct, or it's just bullshit where it's like too big to fail. And what we're looking at is people with these ideologies and ways they're trying to make something that don't fit so bad. It's like they're trying to push a block in somewhere where it don't
Well,
fit. the point is skinning on the side.
Square
mean,
peg, round hole. We're
yeah,
actually,
but
believe it or
Yeah,
not, we're watching essentially the potential downfall of humanity as just in general. We may very well be
I just
watching
think
that.
these people think they're playing God, right? They're I mean,
they're like Dickie said.
who said we gotta play these roles, right? Like who said man automatic masculinity and women automatic femininity? Like who said like it has to be these gender roles? Like look, we played slightly different roles back in ancient India. We played slightly different roles back in ancient this tribe in Africa and this group of people in East Asia or this group of people in Aboriginal with these group of Aboriginal Australians or such and such and such and such. Like
Right.
so,
They trying
that's what they're trying to do.
they're trying to piece make reality where they're trying to take it's like some two big defenders trying to take all the best shit and put it all together and be like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is now
and it just
with
don't work that
nature.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's other parts
Yeah,
that
well, with
is
the patriarchy with feminist characteristics, and y'all tell me how that's supposed to work, right? And let me read
it,
D Hop's
How
comment, and
I
then we're
started to
gonna have
read it,
name
but
of
okay.
because he wants to.
I
No,
actually
give me a
wanted to read
second.
it,
So
but okay.
society is currently buttressed by a large group of overworked, underpaid, underloved, and disregarded males. True indeed. Um, the new generation will not follow in their parents' footsteps. Yes and no. Like I said before, I don't think you need most. I don't even think you need half. All you need is a sizable minority of young men. I think we're reaching
Mhm.
that right now. We're reaching the market cap of that. Of young men that say, you know what, I'm just not engaging in this. I'm not participating in this rigged ass game where even if I'm the best of the best of the best, she can still divorce me, or my manager could still fire me for my shoelaces being the wrong color. Like you believe it or not, you're gonna need some freaking guarantees. And I'm not
30 to
saying that
60% isn't a minority. That is a majority, brother.
yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
when you see the divorce rate and then we're not even counting the separated but you're still married on paper rate. Come on, bro. Like
Yeah.
young men are witness to that because that's their dad. Just because you know what it is in the black manosphere, we're able to articulate these things. We go over the numbers, we pour over the research, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
other young men, brothers, they may not be as articulate, they may not be saying it out loud, but their actions are showing that they're aware that something's up and that how rigged this game is, and they're just not engaging.
I
And
got
that's
I got
that, right?
I
And
got
it's
one more
not
thing.
just. Oh, go ahead, John.
I got one more thing I want. I feel like
Go ahead
all
and
of
join
this
in, Nema. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to
all
do.
I think
Mhm.
all this is forcing the hand of nature. It's gonna go beyond politics and stuff like that. And nature is gonna intervene and nature could be unforgiving. And I think that's where we're heading to.
Mm. I mean, the lower male
Well,
sperm count is kind of, example of what you're saying. But go ahead, Nema.
I mean, what do you like? Well, I'm gonna address that a little bit. But earlier,
Mhm.
what we said about like enough men being alienated and whatnot. First of all, you gotta understand, the society cannot be defeated from without until they're defeated from within.
Mhm.
That's why you have the notion of the fifth columnist, and this is something that I'm sure the right as well as the left are thinking about
Mhm.
when they have these condescending, self-righteous arguments towards young black men, young men in general, young white men in particular, because they understand if they can't get them back on the program, these people are automatically going to be the fifth columnists, which means they're an automatic threat to the society.
Yep.
Because,
Yep.
and all it needs is a little spark, like a certain charismatic leader who will try to guarantee them conquest,
Mm.
regaining their masculinity a certain way. This is why a certain gentleman, I remember a journalist named Abdullah Schleifer, Jewish, but converted to Islam, and who a lot of people don't know. He interviewed Al Qaeda's number 2 at one time.
Mhm.
When he was asked by Thomas Friedman, what drives certain people to certain ideologies? In their case, we're talking about Islamists or jihadism. He said, when rage meets an ideology.
I
These
feel like I
young
heard
men,
that before too. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I've mentioned this actually before. This
Yeah.
wasn't it was a documentary that Thomas Friedman did. Yeah, look up Thomas
Mhm.
Friedman talking to Abdullah Schleifer.
I got two names.
Mm.
Hold up.
I
He
got
Go.
two
said when
names.
rage. Yeah,
Go ahead.
PK.
Let Nema land, and then PK. You said the two names,
Actually,
and
you know
then
what,
we'll
PK? Drop the names, And I'll continue.
Just to speak to Namath's point,
Mm-hmm.
why Andrew Tate?
Yeah.
Why what's the guy's name from Canada?
Oh, Peterson, Jordan Peterson.
Why Peterson?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all I'm gonna say. Think hard. Think hard.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
And remember one of the things that remember one of the things that Jordan Peterson was one of the things that helped to make him famous was borderline him saying that forced monogamy thing, right? Like
forced
he ain't say it.
And
he ain't say it, but he kind of said it. He ain't say it, but
let me address that. Let me address that.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I would say fuck that motherfucker because of his views on cluster B personality disorders, because he says BPD does not exist, which it does.
Mm-hmm.
Tate, he's a cluster B. I keep telling this to people, but nobody trusts me when I say this because, hey, I'm a cluster B. What the fuck I know?
Yeah.
You look into his eyes.
Dude almost died off of his diet. I don't want to hear nothing. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. What?
Wasn't that the reason? What happened with Peterson when he was going through it? What, a couple of years ago? That was last year.
Yeah,
or the year before.
He almost died from a prescription pill addiction. Prescription.
Okay. Oh, it was prescription. Okay.
Because he was on some.
It was both. It was the
diet. It was both. It was the diet. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Died in that. It was some type of opioid he was addicted to because he was undergoing he was dealing with his depression because he does suffer from chronic depression. He passed that on to his daughter, in fact. And he was prescribed that shit, and that shit almost killed him. But you think you chose better. But the guy acts like a fucking messiah. He's holier than thou. He's fucking bullshitting half the time. And as far as the forced monogamy thing, that was in response to, do you remember, was it in Toronto, that one dude who, the autistic dude in Toronto who ran over people?
Yeah, Martin, oh my God. Manaskin. Okay, yeah. There we go. Yeah.
But I'm gonna make you mad. I do believe in enforced monogamy. I'm one of them guys. I do believe in it.
Well, I come from a society where we have arranged marriages. Hell, my own parents' marriage was arranged. So
I mean, like they do say they have a lower divorce because you need a community. So the thing is, let's say overnight we do that to the Black community, but when I say you need a community, you need a what's the word I'm looking for? It's not just community. A support network. Boom. There we go. A support network that keeps that marriage going. It can't just be, okay, we're gonna I already picked out your future wife, I already picked out your future husband. All right, they're gonna get married such and such date, and there we go. Without the support network that supports that.
Yes, and when he was on Joe Rogan asked about the whole forced monogamy thing.
Any support system without supports fails. I'm sorry.
All right. PK, please.
Yeah, go ahead, and then we'll get PK.
When he was asked that question, Rogan gave him some pushback, and as soon as he gave him the pushback, if you watch Peterson, he started having that flash of anger because this man is chronically depressed, and anger is a sign of depression because he needs to have that sense of control because he has no control of his own mind. But when you were asked, what do you mean by forced monogamy? He was just saying this, that, and the third, and he was being completely intellectually dishonest because he knows it's not going to work. He was just saying it just to get a reaction out of people. Kate, however, is a fucking con artist. Because remember, he banks off young men's insecurity, kind of like how these with his own university and shit. Just like how you have these OnlyFans and IG models and ethos be banking off lonely men. Young men are gravitating to them, but then again, you got other people who are gravitating to some more sinister individuals.
Yeah. Well, look at the way they look at the way they speak about masculinity. I get it, man. Especially in our current environment, especially with what the feminists have done over the past 4-5-ish decades, with this kind of everything about your manhood is toxic, and why don't you try this kind of rainbow activity? And are you sure you want to practice that the way you do right now? Like, and yeah. So Andrew Tate, and it's just perfect timing. It's perfect timing. Yeah.
I'll give you another example. Look at Brexit. Young English men, the white ones, mostly. Especially like, you had groups like the English Defense League and whatnot. Far right whatnot.
Oh, yeah. I've watched a couple of things about them. Yeah.
Yeah, but they ain't, but besides them, but other groups like some of who are on the far right, especially who like try to start off their own branches of like this group called Pegida up in Germany and whatnot, where foreign Dresden. They now understand their thing when they were talking about get out of Europe, because they were tired of seeing Eastern European men coming in and taking their jobs supposedly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: they only target Eastern European men. Eastern European women, however, Eastern European women, however, you're welcome to come, because they figured, hell, white women, they're still white at the end of the
day. Giggity. Go ahead.
Well, so in any society, women's importation into a nation has never, ever really been much of an issue, bro. And there's reasons for that we don't want to speak to. We don't want to speak to it in general. We don't want to acknowledge it. But let's be honest here. Like, we know I know the reason. It's pretty goddamn clear.
I witnessed it. I witnessed it here up here.
Monogamy.
Yeah.
I mean, enforcement. How are you gonna do enforced monogamy? First of all,
let me wait, y'all. Wait, Name a wait. Let me see if Big Kev, you ready to speak, or you?
Yeah.
Kev,
I
there you go.
Guys are on. So I'm like,
oh, thank God you guys went back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, man. In regards to like the Jordan Peterson thing, again, I just told people, I'm like, hey, if you're going to disagree with somebody like Jordan Peterson, you have to attack his argument straight on. You can't try to do all this name shaming and name calling.
Wait, I can't call him Kermit?
You say that?
God damn, Big Kev.
No, you got to attack his argument point straight on. It's like, you say you want to enforce it, like, all right, cool. How are you going to enforce it?
There you go.
Or hey, I understand what you're saying, Jordan,
you don't got all the answers.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And I think also too, what both the left and the right don't want to accept is that, okay, some women like sharing the same man, Some women like being hoes.
Yeah.
And you got to account for that as well. You can't just assume every woman is just this sweet, kind of down-to-earth woman.
Wilted violet.
I have the nasty answers that he doesn't want to answer because, of his belief system. I believe he's a strict Christian, so he ain't going to answer those questions. Yes, he's not going to answer those questions.
Wait, and this is my issue. Jordan Peterson speaks as if good character and hard work and this man's man thing. He does not factor in, like, we're black, so we already know. He doesn't factor in personality, swag, charisma, all that shit you got over there. Let me send some of these dudes your wife's way and see if she don't fall.
She definitely
right. Let me send some of these dudes your girlfriend's way and see if she don't fall. All that, bro. I done see chisel chin white dudes lose their girl to a swagged out brother, and you be like, this dude not even good looking, he not even nothing, and your little petite girlfriend is over here on lunch break doming off the swaggerlicious Pookie dude that works at the file room, and you the chisel chin, like literally chisel chin, fairly good looking white dude don't mean nothing.
But then again, here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, when we all look at Dr. Peterson, PhD motherfuckers, I don't mean because he's a clinical psychologist. I refer to him to his PhD. When we look at this guy.
No, he is.
Yeah, that's what I said. He is. Is he still licensed to practice though? But anyway.
Oh, yeah, I don't think so. I think, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so.
Hey, give me the two. Where's my touche?
Yeah,
touche.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to get, what I want to need to get at first and foremost is when you look at Dr. Peterson, when you look at him, what is it about him that says masculinity?
It's not as that he goes after he does his own version of the Ben Shapiro thing, right? So he really started blowing up when he went after the pronouns and the rainbow stuff. That's what that goes back to the culture war stuff.
Toronto.
We don't have answers the left admits they don't have answers. So off top, the left already admits they don't have answers. That's why they scrambling right now. The right, on the other hand, says, okay, you know what? We don't want it. We don't want to do the systemic thing, which means that we're going after the banks and the corporations and the union busters and the Jeff Bezos of the world and the Bill Gates for shipping jobs. Well, importing people with H-1B visas. We ain't gonna do that. But what we can do, haha, culture war stuff.
So
Right?
It's all theater.
Yeah.
It's all political theater.
Like I said
Sorry.
before,
Mhm.
there are clear markers to masculinity that
Yeah.
most, I think, especially black men, are unwilling to address. And I think it even is shown on this panel to some extent. The truth is that intelligence is a masculine feature, bro. Like, you don't
It
have
is.
to like it. And so that's a part of the reason why a person like a Ben Shapiro, or whether or not even a Jordan, whatever the fuck his middle name is,
Jordan Peterson. Yeah.
His middle name is
yeah.
Bounce. It's Bounce.
It's Kermit. I thought it was Kermit. Go ahead.
It's Kermit. I think Kermit's good. But the thing is that he actually hit some of the
Guy's fourth
markers of
generation Norwegian
masculinity.
family.
And he also hit some of the, number one, he hit some of the markers for manhood. So nonetheless, whether we like it or not, the truth is, whether he makes fallacious arguments and mixes it in with some truth, he still does, like all these people, they hit markers, and therefore they can garner, many young men.
I agree with PK on this. Yeah, I agree with
many
it.
young men to essentially, listen to them and garner that type of audience. It's not by mistake,
No, it's not.
No, you're right.
I mean, here's another person we have to also consider here.
Shout out to, by the way, wait, no, shout out to John Jones. I've been wanting to say this from the beginning. Shout out to John Jones' thumbnail.
Let me look at it. What is it?
I ain't even gonna tell you. Hey, bro. Hey, I don't even want to. I don't even want to zoom in. I'm already guessing those are black Air Forces or black Rees. I'm already guessing they're black Air Forces or black Rees. But go ahead.
All right.
Those are Air Forces, bro.
Anyway, understand certain things that narcissists do called triangulation. In the case of Mr. Tate, when you see him, he does all the. Because let's not forget the people. His target audience are young men, right? Young men are young and impressionable.
Yeah.
So what does he do? What do a lot of guys do?
And in seek of a mentor.
No. When he presents himself, the masculinity he exudes, which is nothing more than a facade. He has to have the expensive cars. He's got to be dressed a certain way.
Glamour.
He has like a bunch of women.
Yeah.
It's triangulation to an object because a lot of young men are drawn to that. You go back to when we were young, when we were watching R&B and rap videos in the 2000s. What were we seeing on those videos?
Headbands.
Materialism. Materialism and women.
Not only
materialism and women.
These are markers of success of being a masculine.
Markers of success, but it doesn't actually. They're used to project success. Sometimes, especially when you find out when you look at some of the rappers in those videos, you probably find out the jewelry wasn't theirs. They were loaned from the jewelry.
Oh yeah, they already did a breakdown of cribs and how much of that was fake.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
No, not just the cribs, also the videos we're talking. Some of the cars they got it from a car lot, just for show whatnot, but they weren't driving.
Birdman spoke about that when what music video were they shooting and there was like a bunch of rentals and blah 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 and
the mansions
you're right.
were rented out. I mean, there was an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where an R&B group they wanted to use Uncle Phil's crib to shoot a video in. And Will tried to get into the video as well as one of his boys, but it's all just bells and whistles, but no actual substance when you look at what they say. They say things young men want to hear, huh?
On both sides, it's not really well thought out. Like we're stuck with two bullshit people or two bullshit factions or whatever, and both of their shit is not well thought out. I'm gonna just say that. Like
it's surface level shit, John. It's surface level.
Listen. It's manufactured glamour.
And after this, better you and then Nema, you could continue after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to hog and stuff like that, but it goes back to exploiting nature. Us as black people, we're our part and parcel of nature. I'll put that. I'm not trying to get all too techy, but I'm saying what it is. They're taking and manufacturing an image and stuff like that, but not really having the answers but it's kind of alluring the kind of thing. When y'all talk about Jordan Peterson and I talk about all this, man, I'm thinking about it. Someone who looks very appealing but very predatory, and they don't have the fucking answer, and they're fucking up nature as we know.
I
You know,
mean,
that's
what
what I'm getting at.
what
The worst part is
remember the backdrop. PK, let me just say this one thing real quick. Remember, the backdrop is still neoliberalism. So if the answer doesn't
Yeah.
fit well in the market, then it's not an answer for these people. So you got to factor that in too. If the answer, what they say, if the answer, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. If the answer don't make no
Shout out
money,
to
it
DJ
ain't an
Quick.
answer for them, right? It don't make no answer. It don't make no money for them. But yeah,
Neoliberalism is why the Florida water is like 100 degrees right now. Liberalism
bro,
is like
you don't want to, bro, you don't want to, bro. I promise you, a couple weeks ago, I got out the damn work truck and it was 109 outside. I'm just saying. No, it was 109. All jokes aside.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Work truck wasn't
Better
hot
you
with
and yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Better you
I'm at the
and
better.
oh yeah. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat if you. How Shay Shade be saying? Super chat if you like. Damn, goddamn, I'm trying to steal Shay Shade shit. I
Just
don't
do
even know
your
how to
own
say this
shit,
shit.
man. Why you gonna
Yeah,
try to
yeah,
copy
yeah. I
shit?
mean, I'm trying to steal her shit. I don't even know how to say the shit. There you go. All right, y'all. Yeah, and I guess we're using profanity. I already said shit like a million times already. Anyway, y'all go ahead.
I just
Better
wanted
you
to,
was next up,
I
and
just wanted
better
to
you and then PK.
I'm gonna forget real quick.
I
Better
just
Okay,
you,
messed with
maybe
you.
okay,
Go ahead,
okay.
PK.
Go ahead. Because we
better
you know,
you.
and then
I'm
yeah.
sorry, bro. Just real quick, bro. Better you, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Listen, they're selling. They're giving half truths. They're giving markers, and so
Yeah, yeah.
if you meet some of the markers, that's a part of the problem. The thing is that we're not complete people, most of us, right? And because of that,
Mm-hmm.
if they can give you the markers that you happen to be missing, they're easier. It's an easier time for them to sell you a portion of the truth instead of the whole truth. So
But you missing your whole masculinity. No, I'm joking. Go ahead, better
See,
you.
see, PK, I got a little beef with you right now. You stealing half my shit. But
I'm sorry.
but I think
Hey,
Where's
the
this
wait a
restitution,
minute.
PK?
Better you wait. So he cut you off just to steal your shit? How the hell? Hold up, partner. Wait a minute. Let me take all that shit off the shelf for you real quick before you get to it. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
uh, just bit my whole rap song, man.
Right.
Real talk. I think
Hey, maybe you're gonna have to do him like Diddy did Drake. Go ahead. If y'all don't know that story.
I think a lot of it comes from the lack of true proximity to masculinity in our society today. Like I was talking with somebody about this yesterday. Because we have such an imbalance, a lot of things that are traditionally masculine, such as perseverance, challenge, going through certain things, and finding your limits and going beyond them, is seen as taboo. Is seen as oppressive. Like a good example is what happened with Dwight Howard and him training his kid. Everybody who's played a fucking sport has had a moment where they're like, I can't do this, but you can. And sometimes, a lot of times, we need somebody to pull us out of this. Like that's the reason why a lot of people just look at Jordan or look at LeBron, but they don't know Tim Grover. That's his fucking trainer. The greatest person in the world got a goddamn trainer that's pulling it out of him. And I think that's what we have lost as a society, and that's why people like a Tate can come along. Is because they're seeking something out. It is to use a God for a second. It is not the essence of. Oh, say what?
Well, that real quick. Let me say that before you go say it. So that's what I said to FD. I told him, like, bro, we're not hunting these young dudes. They're coming to over here because y'all don't got no answers. Because all y'all had for them for the past few decades is badger them and throw some bell hooks books in their face and some quotes from Audre Lorde or something, right? Or the misrepresented quote of Malcolm X. You know, black women are the least protected and most disrespected. Yawn. That's what y'all been throwing in these young men's faces for the past 5 decades. And then you wonder why the Black Manosphere pop off and you got so many listening to us and coming in and out of the space. Of course, right? And go ahead. So wait, I think John Jones wanted to say so. Better, John Jones, go ahead and hurry up, and then we'll continue with Better You, and then you name her.
And me.
I'm gonna speak real
Yeah,
quick.
don't forget me.
I gotta
Okay.
go to work. I gotta work with these young black kids trying to get shit
Okay, go
together.
ahead.
Like, so to his point with Jordan's training and stuff like that, I think a lot of this shit that we deal with is ego. I'm looking at things from a psychological point of view, and people trying to get their need off and stuff like that. But I think it's also a combination of that and like nobody want to be the unsung hero. Everybody want the attention. Nobody want to be okay. They don't want to go down in history and be basically an unsung legend. Everybody want to have a voice, which is cool, but like everybody want to have a voice. Nobody wants to play that small role and stuff like that. So everybody want to kind of like jockey for that and be like, everybody want to have their face in the camera and dancing and everybody
Yeah.
music.
Everybody want to be the lead singer. I hear you. Everybody want to be No, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep.
So okay, better you finish up. Name I'm gonna let Kev skip you because he hasn't said much. So we're gonna do big better you, big Kev, and then Nema. And then Nema take it away. But go ahead, better you.
Yeah, I was just gonna wrap it up with this. Like it's a quote from God of War, but I think it applies a lot. There's a point in the game where Kratos is talking to Brock, and Brock finds out he has no soul. And Kratos tells him it's not the form of a thing that matters, but its essence. And what we have as a society right now, and what I truly earnestly feel deep down in my soul is, we as society, well, I ain't gonna say we, the society is trying to change the essence of what a man is. Now,
Yes.
society is always never changing. So the things a man does will change with society. Like 60 years ago, a lot of dudes had to work on their cars a lot. Because that was just how the cars were fucking made. Nowadays, shit, there's some people that change their oil in 3-4 years. That shit, is still fucking running. But because of that change, or the attempt to change the essence, I really truly believe that's why you're seeing so many young men seek out these figures, because they know what they truly are deep down in their soul, but they don't have a print. They don't know how to express it, and they don't know how to bring it out of themselves.
I'm going to keep on sticking to this. I also think that we, starting more mid 70s, more mid and late 70s, we put a price tag on men and masculinity. And I think it's not just about performing. It's not about just being stable and performing, effectively. It's now you got to be top tier, right? And if you're not, then you might not. You get mediocre vagina for hard work, right? And I just don't think the young men they're not signing up. They're not signing up to be told that something about them is inherently defective or wrong, and the best thing you can do is go confess your sins at the altar of some different type of sexuality, or kissing some woman's ass, or deferring to women or the feminine, or feminine moving, speaking, acting men. I just think I agree with you on this. I'm just saying in a slightly different way, which is like the young men are just not signing up for that. And like the left doesn't know what to do with that, and the right knows exactly what to do with it, even though they're
Do you got the meme for the
wait, PK, you skip it a line. You skip it a line. Skip it a line.
Wait. Do you got the meme for the little kid that goes, "Wait a minute"?
Right. So Big Kevin, and then name. Go ahead.
Well, can I say this one last thing before I hop off? Because I'm about to walk into work.
Okay, go ahead.
For me, I really think a lot of it boils down to the fact that because of this neoliberal framework that goes back to, I think you can argue all the way back to Tricky Dick trying to open up new markets like China. I really believe you can't get an answer from them because fundamentally it's opposed. You got two things that are philosophically opposed, and I don't think they will ever really truly have a substantive answer except don't be evil, don't be toxic, don't break.
You remember Facebook used to have, was it Facebook that used to have "Don't be evil" on the wall? Was it Facebook or was it one? It was Google, right? You remember they took it off. They took it off a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm tying that to what you're saying by saying, yeah, it sounds nice, and then we find out the most inclusive, supposed to be body positive people are over here assholes body shaming. Shout out to you, Lizzo. I'm just saying. Anyway, hey, I'm just saying, hey, bro, I'm tying it all together by saying all these people are a whole lot of talk, and then when we give you some power, I'm just saying. You see? So yeah, man. No, but go ahead, better you. And I gotta schedule your robbery. Because you bigger than me, so I gotta schedule how I'm gonna rob you because I know you're making that good money as a supervisor. So I'm gonna be waiting in the hedges. I'm not gonna tell you when because I don't want you to actually win this. But yeah, so we gotta
What, you
schedule
can't get
your
a
robbery.
recommendation from this motherfucker?
No, I gotta schedule it. I don't know how I gotta take this flight and I gotta get shit through customs and everything like
I
that. So
need
I'm
the
gonna figure it out.
Brody, the shoes, run them pockets.
Right, exactly. Better you can be like, wait a minute, Z, is that you? You sound like.
I'm just gonna look at Z. If I meet Z, I'm just gonna say, man, you're a lot shorter than you sound.
Oh man.
You said you're 5'9", you look 5'7". What the hell?
No, I'm really 5'9" though. I wouldn't lie about my height. That to me, that's always that's weird, bro. That's weird. People that lie about how they look or hey, and one thing I always thought was the lamest thing in the world is catfishing. Who does that?
Plenty of people.
It's really sad more than anything.
Yeah, that's just sadder than hell. No, bro. I tell you, Mr. Z is a bald dude with a beard out of Dade County, and I'm 5'9".
Hey man, on the bright side, I'm still attractive. I'm actually really attractive, believe it or not.
Right.
I ain't gonna tell
So,
you, I'm 6'2".
Oh.
I weigh 170. I used to have a six pack, but right now I'm trying to put on weight. You know,
So you got a gut now?
A little bit,
I
yeah.
think you got a bird cage too.
No, I don't. I have a chest. But yeah. I have chesticles.
6'2", 170.
he said chesticles.
Yeah.
PK, the guy that walks around. PK's the guy that walks around making his pecs jump for the ladies. He's that guy.
Wait a minute. Are you sure those are enhanced by synthol?
Hysterical.
Look,
But Big Kev, let me let Big Kev get in here real quick. Go ahead, Big Kev.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Z. Yeah, and I was actually having this as a part of the debate on Chaos Ray's channel yesterday. It's like, listen, part of the reason why so many people are so eager to try to shut this so-called Black manosphere down is because, like I said, is number one, we don't see women, particularly so-called Black women, as these sacred cows that can do no wrong. Number two is, and what I just said to Amiri is like, what y'all don't want to happen is that we don't want. What they know is that eventually the conversation is going to switch over to talking about how neoliberals, Stratcons, and the far left pretty much, like you said, fucked up the environment.
Yeah, they freaking turned this into a toxic wasteland.
Exactly. So that's the real reason why they want to shut this space down is because of those two things. Because again, it's a lot of this social engineering is based off of basically telling both women and men that women's shit doesn't stink, which is false. Number one, and then number two is a lot of this, as I said before, a lot of this intersectionality, identity politics, respectability politics, the alpha way through a talk, this like hustle culture. This is just a bullshit smokescreen just to deflect away from the fact that, like you said, they fucked up the environment for young men in regards to marriage and making like a upward mobility. And what they don't want to do is, instead of correcting it because they know this is going to destroy their credibility, they want to try to shut down spaces like this and try to tar and feather the space and say, oh, you're all just misogynist, this and misogynist that, not only that,
sexist, misogynist a-holes.
Exactly. Not only that,
I'm the only misogynist here. Oh wait, no, I'm not misogynist. I'm the only sexist here.
Yeah, and then also too, what I said to Mary, it's like the problem is that when people talk about this save the community bullshit, what their idea of saving the community is basically, if you think about it, what a lot of pro-black protests is in this idea of air quotes so-called blackness, so-called saving the community. What it boils down to is essentially they want you to be a cuck.
Yes.
They want you to be a cuck. They want you to work hard, sacrifice, provide and protect, but do it for free. Don't expect any type of monetary compensation. Don't expect any respect or recognition. Don't expect any adequate
no reciprocation. No reciprocation whatsoever.
None whatsoever. And you're supposed to do it because that's what air quotes being a man is about, Like, to put it a simpler way, they want us brothers to, they want the women to be praised for being good without having to do any of the effort, make any of the effort, or make
For
any of the honest
breathing.
sacrifices. Exactly. Basically, you give
Entitlement.
them a participation trophy, you know, for having
Shout
a
out to Tony
vagina.
Braxton.
Exactly. And then when it comes to the men, they want us to try. They want us to put in the effort, but they don't want to give us any recognition or any reciprocation for it. You know, it's always,
Yes.
that's what you're supposed to do. Not, hey, great job, keep up the good work. That's what you're supposed to do, you know?
Yeah.
And like I was telling them, it's like being on a sports team. It's like trying to tell, it's like claiming that you want to win the Super Bowl, but then in the same breath telling you that it don't matter how good the offensive or defensive line is, or, oh, it doesn't matter how good the linemen are. We should never have to pay them. You know, never pay your offensive or
Shout out
defensive
to
line.
Chicago Bears.
Exactly. Don't be surprised if they don't want to fucking stay there, you know, and then you're wondering why your team is always losing, because your mindset is ass backwards, you know. But again, they don't want to let go of the ass backwards mindset because it would be admitting that they're wrong.
Dallas Cowboys.
Yep. I mean, like that. No.
Being a eunuch. I mean, that's what I liken it to. It's essentially they want essentially eunuch.
Y'all the one who put me on game that that's what Obsidian calls it, right? Community eunuch or something like that.
Yeah, community eunuch.
Yeah.
Just to piggyback on what the Big Kev is saying, you know, like, first of all, unfortunately, when you think about it, in America, they probably argue that the black man was the original cuck in this country,
actually,
aka the redheaded stepchild. But no, that argument could be made. I'm not saying it's accurate, but and this whole thing about, you know, they talk in shaming language on young men by the right and everything, talking about masculinity. You also have a lot of people who are hyper masculine boys. It's all you know, it's all for show, but no genuine substance. And then you have some of the guys who are some of the most masculine men out there, but but they're closeted or behind the bedroom or complete bottoms. But that goes back to this whole thing about, like I said, about the shaming language of masculinity. Bucks, not cuck. That too, Troll Bentley. That's true. I'll get to that. Well, if you want to know what he's talking about, check out the 1975 film Mandingo, starring Ken Norton Sr.
There's no glory in being a buck. I'm just saying.
True. I didn't say there wasn't any glory in it. It is what it is. If you understood the situations, you are compelled and forced in certain situations at the risk of death, with a threat of death.
I'm not trying to argue that, you know. I mean, like, if you're a buck, by virtue of the fact that you are a buck, you're going to be cucked. I mean, they go together.
All right.
They work
now,
hand in hand.
The right, when you think about it, when they talk about masculinity and whatnot, think about what they say when they talk about soy boys and everything. It goes back to ancient times and the level of ethnocentricity about masculinity, because they always kept thinking other groups were effeminate. Prime examples I can give in ancient times is, like, look at the Persians against the Greeks. The Greeks would think that both the Persians and the Egyptians, for that matter, were feminine. Why? Because the men wore eyeliner, not knowing that if you look at the environment of ancient Egypt as well as ancient Persia, the Persian Empire, they had the sun beaming on their faces. And so they would wear eyeliner to protect their eyes. Kind of like how football players or baseball players put that black paint under their eyes.
Eye black.
Yeah,
yep.
Like the eye black.
The eye black, yep.
Yeah, in the Arab world and parts of India, men still wear eyeliner. It's acceptable for them to use eyeliner because it protects their eyes from the sun. That was before the advent of sunglasses. Hell.
Gay! No, I'm just kidding.
Did you understand what the fuck I just said?
Gay! No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah, we know. Like you said, it's basically they wore the eyeliner to protect their eyes against glare from the sun because it's constantly beating down on them.
Yes, like how football players wear. I would know that. I mean, who else? But now they're trying to say, like, anything you do is effeminate. I know where I come from. I have earrings. But then again, my society, as a product of colonialism, still has the European 1950s a sense of masculinity. So if you grew your hair out, or if you grew hair out, or you had earrings, they thought you were effeminate because of it.
It's a fundamental flaw, and this is what I was going to address. It's a fundamental flaw, number one, with some of the Western views philosophically, and also with the way that we actually. This is the truth. I'm just gonna give you the unfiltered truth, man. The truth
When did
is
you ever
that
give her anything that was filtered? Just give
I,
it to me
I,
straight.
I do.
Straight
I
and raw,
give it
nigga.
filtered from time to time. I really do. I don't go that hard often. So the truth is that unlike women,
Oh
un,
God.
uh, un,
I don't know if that
unlike
was a term. I don't know that that was the choice of words you should have said.
I don't know. I
I
missed it.
mean, nobody needs to know if there ever been a time when you went soft either. So anyway,
Oh,
continue.
pause. Pause.
You
Okay,
opened the door and walked into it. You walked into that one, fool.
yeah, I missed that shit. God damn. So,
You moonwalked into that one, Michael. Now you're going hee hee.
so I
Oh!
mean, like, unlike women, women actually are mostly external creatures where their validation of their female and their prowess as being a woman is acknowledged.
Femininity.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
acknowledged outwardly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
by virtue of their appearance, by virtue of the fact that they bear children, by virtue of the fact that they're acknowledged by their peers as well as men for what it
Mm-hmm.
is that they offer. Whereas for men, there is also an internal component attached to manhood, and you know, there are outward expressions of it, but it isn't
Mm-hmm.
purely an outward experience.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it may be somewhat true that women also go through inward association with femininity and womanhood. However, I'm not going to be as privy to that as as a woman is. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's these things can be true across the board. However, I think that when it comes to Western thought, in the way that
Yeah.
number one, Western socialization, much of it has to do with outward, you know, outward
Expressions.
expressions instead of any sort of inward development, and not entirely. And I think that's inculcated essentially with their project insofar as Black people are
Mm-hmm.
concerned, because that's what we fixate on is the outward expressions of manhood instead
Like
of any of the inner work
I
that's
mean, I
associated with
mean,
it, and also the
I can
achievement
use
and
examples
accolades
of that. What you're saying,
associated with
PK.
it.
I mean, I can give examples of that, PK. I mean, look at guys who come out of prison. Most of them come out looking all swole and masculine, and women get turned on to them because they think, and while they were in lockup, they were probably fighting off other dudes and lifting weights and whatnot, not knowing the realities of what was going on in there. Or how many young men, how it become trendy for guys to wear full beards now. Speaking of which, that reminds me, a certain individual on the right, uh, Z, you still there?
I'm still here. I'm sorry, y'all. I have
Okay.
got preoccupied for a couple minutes.
Yeah,
But
but
go ahead.
Z, you ever
Girlfriend that
notice?
threw that ass back and made them forget about everything.
No, I had to go do my morning cap and then,
Well,
yeah.
actually, well, you guys, Z, PK, you're forgetting it. Z is probably at a Denny's enjoying the Grand Slam breakfast right
Is
now.
that
He's
me?
hungry.
Okay.
Nigga
Yeah.
hungry.
You. Okay. My NU went out for a second, but go ahead.
Right. But what I want to say was like, we're talking
Mhm.
about the outward appearance, outward expression of masculinity. Like, look at Brent Shapiro or look at Matt Walsh.
Oh yeah, he did. Yeah, he did grow a beard. Still
Yes,
lame
the
and still a
beard.
dweeb. He's still a dweeb, but a dweeb with a
As
beard.
an Orthodox Christian, I would look at him really cross, considering he's Catholic, because he also has a tattoo of the cross of Constantine on the inside of his arm. He claims to be a devout Catholic, which is kind of questionable. But the beard, the fact he's having that beard, and a lot of those guys are also wearing. He's been also sporting flannel, like that one time when he was addressing young men on his show.
I'll tell
The
you the
beard, the
biggest the
flannel.
biggest the biggest point that you can point to for this is what they
Hmm.
actually consume in media, in
Hmm.
sports, and everything that's related to manhood. Is how is number one, they fixate pretty heavily on Black men. There's a reason for that. A lot of
Yeah.
people think it's by accident. It's not. They're unfortunately, because of the failures and the gaps in the philosophical beliefs and the systems that they believe in so heavily,
Hmm.
has left them with a gap. You know, some of it created, you know, you could argue by white supremacy, but nonetheless,
Yeah.
the reason why the
Mm-hmm.
fixation is so heavy is because of the fact that that gap leaves them associating many of the markers that are associated with manhood on the outside instead of anywhere on the inside, and it just kind of it's part and parcel for the you know, for many of the
Yeah.
things that you describe, you know, the beards,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that they, you know, are they're highly fixated
Yeah.
on the black image. It's not by
It's the
accident.
image. I mean, take me for example. I can't grow a beard. I can only grow like a goatee or whatnot or a mustache, but I hate mustaches because you know I come from my father's generation. You know, the mustache is, or in certain parts of the Arab world, they will sport.
Yeah, they were definitely the thick mustache generation. Our father's generation was definitely the freaking. What is that worm on your face?
No. But here's the thing. You don't realize, Z. Some men, there's men out there who need that facial hair. They need their mustaches. Steve Harvey, anybody?
Yeah, because
you ever seen what Steve Harvey looked like without his mustache?
Yeah, because they look like a teenage boy without the facial hair.
Me, I already look like my father enough as it is, but I hate mustaches because I don't know, for something about mustaches. I don't know, something about the mustaches. I guess it was the Village People or something like that. And also that.
You mean like a mustache in a vacuum, like a mustache by itself, without the
the mustache
goatee
reminds
or
me of certain things. Something about mustaches.
Okay.
I hate.
Now we all have that thing. Now we all have that thing that, you know, it's I just don't do it, man. Yeah, I get it.
I don't like mustaches personally.
Yeah,
I just have a goatee.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I just ask people, I should be envious of other guys who grow beards, but I realized. But then again, some guys told me like, hey, beards are not all that because like they were showing me the razor bumps they had because you know black skin being sensitive.
Oh yeah, I don't shave. I just go to the barbershop and have it lined up. Yeah, trim it and line it up. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't shave at all.
But the thing also is when my father's generation, the boomers, some of them are clean shaved. They're not into beards. Some of them grew beards and sideburns back when they were in the 80s and the 70s. But I asked an older cat, someone who I had a lot of respect for, asked him, what does it mean to be a man? And this is back home in Eritrea. And he told me what it was, this, that, and the third. So I asked another person, some older men who I respect, and asked them, what does it mean to be a man? Because I was like 21, 22 years old. Some of my uncles asked that question, so my father, and this is at the point where I just became very disillusioned with the whole sense of masculinity. It doesn't mean I'm not a man. I just don't care if a man sees me as a man or whatnot, because like I said earlier, we're only seen as men when it is convenient or when we're ever useful, or if they want to hold us accountable for certain things. Otherwise, they're just going to disregard you and think of you as effeminate or whatnot. Like I said earlier about the Greeks and the Persians, they saw each other as effeminate because they didn't understand each other's cultures because of ethnocentricities.
Exactly.
And, oh, by the way, before I continue, Z, that song you mentioned,
Go ahead.
Dollars and Cents by DJ Quick, that's one of my favorite jams of all time. It was a diss track, but it was a great track. But Big Cat, how about are you finally back in the gym yet?
Yeah, I went to the gym yesterday. I'm actually going to be going back.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I was in the gym.
How much are you squatting right now?
Today.
How much you squatting right now?
I'm still not on the squat. I've been lowering the weight a little bit on my leg press, but I've been lifting more as far as bench press. I got up to 315 on the bench press, so I'm able to
just
to
go easy. You don't want to tear your knee. You don't want to tear your, tear anything in your knees, or snap your shoulders when you're doing,
Oh yeah. That's why I'm slowly lowering the weight down because I want to make sure I'm not tearing any like ligaments or anything like that. I already did that once with my lateral meniscus. It was actually during a wrestling match that I won. So,
Terrell, my bad. Real quick, Big Kev. I call it the flavor saver also. I was calling it the flavor saver before me and my girl got together. So you already know.
Yeah.
Giggity.
Okay,
anyway, go ahead, Big Kev. Go ahead.
But yeah,
this is you need to listen to Red Foxes. You got to watch your ass. But sorry, continue, Big Kev.
Okay, yeah, I think this is what I did yesterday, Monday in the gym. I got Did like 30 reps for like 900, like 900 pounds on the leg press machine. I did 3 reps of 315 on the bench press. I did 5 reps of 215 on the lateral pull down. I did 15 reps of 215 on the chest press, and then 10 reps of 215 on the shoulder raises. I did 20 reps of both leg curls and leg extensions. I did, I did 10 curls on each arm with 60-pound dumbbells, and then I did like 20 shoulder shrugs with like 85-pound dumbbells, and did
you banging and clanking.
Reps. Exactly, yeah, banging and clanking. I'm thinking, and then I did and then I did 10 reps to 170 on like the curl machine. So, like I curled 170 for 10 reps on that, and I I'm trying to think what else I did. I did 20 reps to 135 on the decline bench press, and then I did 10 reps.
All right, that's enough.
245.
Big Kev, that's enough. There's a reason I ask these questions. There's a reason I'm asking this question. Because, they're always talking about how go to the gym and start lifting weights and everything. Not understanding that, one, people usually, like a lot of the gym rats or supposedly pseudo gym rats you see on social media, they never actually go into the genuine science, like talking about things like, what is your body type, first of all? Are you mesomorphic, ectomorphic, endomorphic?
Yeah, mesomorphic.
Do you know your genetics? Do you know what weight claim, what kind of dietary thing would work for you? People don't even really get going to this, and this is why the supplements industries are big money, even though it's been proven that a lot of shit you don't need.
Yeah. I was about to say,
all that is just explaining to you guys is, and the other reason I'm saying this is also a lot of guys don't understand that shit. So they just go into the gym blindly, not knowing what they're doing. And next thing you know, some of them are going to risk destroying themselves. I mean, how many guys are abusing certain Mexican supplements, shall we say, or on the sauce?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I played high school football, so like a lot of my upper body strength I've retained from that, So that's the reason why I like, at least I'm somewhat aware of what to do in the gym, because one thing I definitely learned, especially from doing the bench, and I think Tito made a video about a week ago about this young cat about 30 years old.
About a week ago. Anyway.
He like accidentally died during like a weightlifting accident. One thing I definitely learned from experience, like when you're doing the bench press, never let it hang on your wrist. You go up and you grab it like you're grabbing like a cup, but you put your thumb on like the edge of like the perforated thing if you're doing like a normal bench press, and then you put it in between. It's gonna be like with the bench press, right? When you're lifting the bench, it's gonna be perforated edges, on like the sides, and there's gonna be a perforated edge right there in the middle. It's gonna be like a smooth portion in between those. If you're doing normal bench,
the topic, by the way.
Exactly.
No, we're not running away from the topic. There's a reason I'm bringing this all up, because we're talking about there's a sense of identity that's being lost, and some people are just seeing the bells and whistle, because we're talking about it's all show, no substance. If you wanted to understand the substance, we got to understand who we are and what we are as men. Because I remember there was a MGTOW who talked about this. That's what his name was. He talked about young men. They see all these bodybuilders and they see what they did to get pumped up, but they don't understand the dangers that came with that. Like they're taking certain dudes he mentioned in Australasia. He mentioned certain people were taking a type of pesticide as a diuretic, so they can cut, they can get chiseled and lean. And even then, this whole thing about body dysmorphia is becoming serious among young men because.
Wait, they're taking pesticides to lose weight?
No, they're using. They buff up using things like trombolin or something like that to bulk up, right?
Wow.
And like if they need to get to like chisel down whatnot, they were using certain things like diuretics, certain things like a pesticide. One person was using like a pesticide, and that almost killed them. Others,
wow.
The application of these stuff are just dangerous. That's why certain supplements are questionable, and nobody looks into the science. But in the past, the ancient Greeks, when they were doing the whole thing they understood the whole thing about mind-body connection. When you're lifting weight, you're also developing your mind because you understand that your body is a temple. You need to take care of it. but you also develop a philosophy that goes with it. But nobody is teaching these young men that shit.
So you actually hit the point. You hit one of the points. So yes, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The truth is that just like so some of the outward markers of masculinity are associated with physicality, are associated with wealth, status, women. These are indeed markers. Excuse me. These are indeed markers for masculinity.
Stay off the weed for a moment, will you?
Nah, man, it's not smoke. We're good. It's coughing, bro. But
yeah, that's it. Well, we all
they're
cough.
just
Hey, must have been some good shit.
Of no weed in quite some time. It's been almost a year.
Yeah. I hear you.
But they are markers indeed, nonetheless. However, you're not necessarily just only your mental acuity, but also your inner workings, your essence, essentially, your soul, what it is that makes up a man in and of itself isn't solidified by virtue of only the fact that you physically are a specimen. That isn't all that there is to manhood. It isn't whether or not you can kick the next man's ass or pulverize the next man's ass into a piece of fucking ground beef. That ain't it neither. That may make you a damn good warrior, but not necessarily a fully developed
or lover, the way you just said it.
Right. We'll go there too. Fuck it.
Giggity.
I mean, we can go there actually. If we can go there.
Hey, this is where Charles comes out of nowhere, and be like,
I mean, I'm gonna go there right now if you want. I'm gonna go there.
No. We don't even want to go. We don't even want to go Northern European kink. Let's not even go there.
Yeah, that's not what I was gonna say.
Just pause on all of that. Oh God, no.
Hey, pause on the comment real quick. But so I went down the rabbit hole of watching the Cameron and Mace pause moments, bruh. Bro, if you watch that, you're gonna cough up and laugh up a lung. It's like it's super juvenile. It's super kiddish and juvenile humor, but it's funny. And like you borderline feel guilty for laughing because it's so like childish, but it's funny. Go ahead, Big Kev. Big Kev is trying to say. Oh yeah, go finish PK and then Big Kev. Yeah, go ahead.
Wrap up. This is a part of the reason why quite some time ago I brought up the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, because when these things aren't being met for men specifically and in the way that they need to be met, you leave essentially essential gaps to what it is that's most of those points on that list are necessary for you to develop into a man. They just are. So if you're not getting those needs met, it becomes essentially a likelihood that you may be potentially stuck in a cycle of perpetual boyhood.
Yeah.
So
let's not forget how many. First of all, let me bring up a statement I mentioned in a previous hangout of Mr. Z's. When I talk about we're talking about the changes in the society. Remember what I said about the people who won't be broken by certain changes are the ones that are already broken. See?
I feel like I remember you saying that.
Yeah, go ahead. And you laughed, but you got the point of it, because, like I said, I'm broken. Courtesy of the personality disorder and everything, my mental health issues. So the stigma of mental health is also there. That's plaguing a lot of men, because how many of them have they can't get help because men are undesirable. Men are viewed as one of two things, especially as a women. You're either seen as a liability or a threat, and that's if they see you as useless. And so these young men, and it's not just women, it's the greater society will see them as a threat or as a liability. And sometimes they see them as nothing more than the only thing that useful force can and follow. So those men being alienated by their own society, you can't fault them for wanting to reach out and join the other side, thinking they can relate to them. But the other side may just see them as useful idiots. That's where that's how that fifth column, certain members of the fifth column come about. Others are just opportunities. They're looking for a change so they can gain some positions that they know they couldn't gain into the normal society, normal hierarchy, or how many people are downtrodden, demonized. They will join those such groups. But here's another thing also mentioned, PK, like we talked about, like the lifting weights, the beard and everything. How many men, look at the number of people who were number of guys who are big into MMA, for example, or combat sports in general. The violence in that, and how many guys want to go into martial arts, but martial arts, there's a philosophy in that. If anybody remembers the movie,
like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat.
Like the original movie Karate Kid, there was a point for martial arts, because like when Daniel Russo was asking Mr. Miyagi, so when he asked him, who taught you your karate, he said, Miyagi, my father. So you used to get into a lot of fights? No, I never got into a lot of fights. Miyagi's a lover. So why did your father teach you to fight? And then he just kept quiet. And then that's when Daniel realized, oh, he taught you this so you didn't have to fight. And Miyagi looked at him and said, exactly. Because with martial arts, there's a discipline. There's that discipline because you're learning how to assess situations, when to fight, when not to fight. Fighting is to be used as a last resort to defend yourself. You're taught to defend yourself.
Neiman, let me wrap you up real quick so that Big Kev could go and then PK. Go ahead. Go ahead, Big Kev.
Yeah. I was about to say, Ed, I actually wasn't the one that said condiments or facing.
Right, that was I saw the comment. I was like, that was not Big Kev wasn't the hood. that was definitely a PK comment.
I'm sorry, I don't follow.
I said that.
What are you guys talking about?
I need to fucking revoke that entire statement.
Hey,
I didn't even mean it that way.
Let me say this. Hey, out of somewhere in Harlem is Cameron being like, pause, son.
Bruh. Like,
somewhere in Harlem.
Speaking of Cameron.
Oh man.
You remember was it 03? When the motherfucker said, I make it cool for niggas to wear pink?
Yeah.
And what happened? Because a lot of people forget in the past, back during the times of the Renaissance, like in the 16th, 17th century, just like the times of Shakespeare, a lot of
Cameron was definitely not trying to go that far back in the history.
No. I'm probably sure he didn't know this, but in Europe, in the 16th, 17th, during the time of Shakespeare, pink was actually a very masculine color.
I mean, if you really look at the animals in the wild, the men are the ones who like literally peacock around, like literally.
The birds, birds that is, or take lions for example, or take lions
with the men. Yeah.
Take lions. Dark-haired mates.
Cool, bro.
Dark-haired mates.
We're not doing that. No.
What, making pink cool? It's too late. I already wear pink, player.
Oh no, not
PK. Wait, dude. Do you remember? Wait, you weren't born in the 80s. Does anybody remember Miami Vice?
Yes.
Crockett and Tubbs, weren't they wearing pink at certain times? Wasn't John Johnson wearing pink?
I don't want to hear nothing from no one about pink. Whenever y'all see a picture of your granddaddies and them goddamn bell-bottom freaking skin tights, okay? And ain't nobody was questioning their masculinity. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Who remembers Vice City? GTA Vice City. What are the colors? Pink. Pink and light blue.
And nobody want to talk about the fact that grandpops used to wear tighty whities and bell bottoms. I'm just saying.
You had to wear briefs. You couldn't wear boxers underneath bell bottoms. Yeah. They were too tight in the crotch.
I'm just saying. And don't ever look up a picture of your dad and your uncle and your granddad them at the beach, bro. You're gonna be disappointed. I'm just saying.
Oh, the Speedos and everything. Oh no, I was.
Hey, bro, who wears shorts? I'm just saying.
Oh God, no.
Dad wears shorts. I'm just saying.
When I was when little kid, when I was little, I was wearing Speedos when I used to go to the beach. But eventually I transitioned to board shorts by the time I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Yep.
And then again, like how many of us remember we used to wear tighty whities, but then we transitioned to
I'm
the
about to make y'all throw up because Dad's pubes used to be hanging out them speedos too. There you go.
But
Dude,
and listen,
who remembers the Gap Band? The Gap Band. They had a song called Party Train, and you had Uncle Charlie on the beach on his knees on the surf in black speedos. God damn it! Damn.
Yeah, listen, shout out to the Fab Five at Michigan, man. They helped make like the longer shorts cool, man. Shout out to those brothers. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not wearing
tattoos, earrings too.
Hey, bro, y'all don't. Bro, it's just a different. You know, okay. So this is something. Tone Talk said this a few years ago, right? When Sisters was talking, you know, this stuff about men being on a certain level, and she was like, and he said something like, "Do y'all want me to show y'all pictures of y'all great granddaddies and how emaciated they looked in the 1920s, in the 19-teens? Do you want me to show like?" And when he said it,
growth as well.
yeah, and it really hit me because like, yes, we had brothers that were killing the game in the, you know, the 1905 or something, right? But like for the most part, like who really was as a black person, right? So it was a way of like just reminding you like, hey, the world wasn't always what it is. And I'm bringing that up to tie to what I'm saying now to like, hey, bro, we dress in more fitted. It's kind of counter to some of the baggy stuff that we were wearing in the 90s and the aughts. But I mean, like if you go back to like our fathers and our grandfathers, especially, bruh, hey, it was a what is this super? And that's why real quick, that's why I can't let them say anything because I'm like, bro, this is not even a V-neck. You got this tight in a bow at the bottom. What the hell? What is this?
All right, so I want to get away from this as fast as possible. So I'm gonna go to the seat. I'm doing it.
Thank you, Trell. The Trell said the disco era, bro. I'm saying.
No. This is, oh my God, get that shit out of here. What the fuck?
What the fuck is wrong with you? You turn.
But you know what? But we're saying, but PK, you're saying that, and I'm guarantee you, our grandsons are going to be saying the same thing. I guarantee you, they're going to be saying the same thing.
I got a question after PK. PK.
No.
Yeah.
PK.
No.
I got a question for you.
Wait, Naaman, let him know. Wait, Naaman, let him land because he was trying to say something before. Go ahead, PK, and then Naaman ask you a question. Go ahead.
Okay.
So that part is a truism statement. Like there are certain fashion trends that have always been associated with time periods in history. Got it. Agreed. We don't disagree there. And yeah, shit be fucked and all sorts of fuck shit be happening. Agreed. That ain't it. I'm just gonna say that ain't it. However, insofar as I think really what we are not really addressing here is something I want to go back to is the philosophical piece. There are certain, number one, the things that surround masculinity and manhood are mostly components of not only you have to develop a system or code of ethics. You have to have a philosophical foundation. You have to have a principled set of views. You have to have certain, viewpoints that are essentially set, and you have to be willing to die for these sets of beliefs and for other people, including yourself, if so challenged. These are all pieces to manhood, including the markers that we listed earlier that is essential to becoming a man. Now, these are sometimes enshrined in rites of passage, and we oftentimes get away from them by only identifying the markers instead of getting to the essence of what it is that makes a man, which I just listed before. These are all individual things, all, each on their own, but all of them together is what constitutes man, period. Now, this is a separation in between what is and is not, a man, and what is and is not a woman, because women don't actually have to come to these same conclusions.
But you binary, linear thinking black man,
I'm a sexist.
Yeah, we know.
What is it to be a man in the first place, Mr. PK? What is it?
I just told you, biologically, there are markers. You gotta be number one. You gotta be born with a dick and balls. If you ain't born with that, you can never be a man.
Sounds transphobic, sir. Sounds transphobic.
Well,
Okay,
whatever.
here's my question.
Yep.
So what does that do? So what about those of us who are intersex? You know, like a hermaphrodite and shit.
That's a good question. But that's
you're
different. That's not
They
something.
can't.
So, okay, so now we're gonna get into the question of what can be air quotes controlled and air quotes not controlled, right? And so now you're opening a whole can of worms, because what I wanted to say and what I'm gonna say is they can't control that, right? They come out the womb that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But where now we get into if you see yourself as being born in the wrong body, is that something that was socialized into you, or is that something that you came out the womb with?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
There's
a
component of that question of the socialization aspect. However,
Nobody likes talking about that part.
there is an aspect of that. I do understand it. However, what I would make the statement of is that socialization does not overcome biology. One is natural. One is socialization. If you're placed in a certain environment, you could socialize people to do certain things within reason. Not outside of the confines of the biological context or the natural context. When you start to do that, it will ultimately encounter problems over any long period, really not even a long period of time, short periods of time. Really. So you can't, I mean, outside of technological intervention, because that's where we're at today, you can't actually make that transition possible.
Okay, before I say what I want to say, PK, let's be honest, man. I know good and well you probably got a few pairs of skinny jeans in your closet.
Nah.
So don't be. Yeah, you do.
No,
don't be denying it.
No, I don't.
What's going on, Dr. Thunder? We got Dr. Thunder listening in.
Hey, what's good, Dr. Hey, I've been meaning to ask Dr. Thunder one thing. I've been wanting to ask Dr. Thunder. He says he's Orthodox Christian, right? Which church exactly are we talking about?
I have to ask him that.
Can you answer that question? If you can type that
if he's still listening.
Yeah.
But
because I'm Orthodox, I'm just wondering which branch is he from.
But so.
But what I want to say is like
we're about to start. Yeah, no, we're gonna start making our closing. So go ahead, go ahead, Neyman, and then we'll just
actually I'll be last. I'll be last.
Okay,
Everybody go first.
Go ahead. So okay, PK or Big Kev, whichever one of y'all wanna.
What did you say? Well, I don't know what you said. What did you say?
Oh no, I'm about to start making my closing. So y'all.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I'll end with this. So yeah, I think there are indeed just flat out. You know, you may not want to see it.
But indeed, the job site? No, I'm playing. Go ahead. Dad jokes. Go ahead, y'all.
Well, you got a dad bod
that are pretty clear, you know. And I actually, this is where the disagreement from earlier came from, insofar as in a vacuum. Would you be able to determine and decipher male from female and man from woman? Yes. Even in a vacuum, you could, as long as they were born with the parts, you know, you could. And even then, you know, there's
but you already know I gotta do it for the sexual lefties. But what about if I don't identify with the parts that you would think would mean that I'm a man?
That doesn't matter. That's not.
Or a boy or a male, however they would word that. Yeah.
That's not a factor in the state of nature. It's.
I agree with you, by the way. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, that is highly irrelevant and extraneous information. It just, I mean, like, we identify animals in a similar fashion. I mean, humans, although we may be different to animals to some extent, you know, we are still a part of the mammalian species.
But you're boiling me down to just an animal, sir.
Yeah,
I am above and away from animals, sir.
We are. I actually agree with that statement to some extent. Not entirely, though. It's a partial truth.
I agree with that. I agree with that, actually.
We're not entirely animals.
I wanted to troll a little bit because, like, these are me and my younger sister were having this conversation once, and I was like, you have to be prepared for some of the arguments that, you know, certain people make. And we weren't talking about, you know, this sexuality thing, but like there's certain canned responses now if somebody come from left field with an argument, that's different, but like certain things are predictable. And so when you engage with these people, hopefully you're not engaging with them a certain way, you got to be prepared for like some of these arguments, and they're like very, very predictable. Like some of these arguments are super predictable, and when you see certain brothers get frustrated online, engaging with these people in a conversation, I'm like, bro, like how did you? Yeah, I definitely had to clarify, but yeah, I'm like, bro, how did you not see that argument? How did you not foreshadow or foresee that argument? I could have said that another way, but I didn't want to say it another way. But yeah, how did you not see that? Right. So yeah, and I'm so ducking and dodging and bobbing and weaving all the pause moments because there's a whole lot. Right?
I mean, so for some of the arguments, I actually deal with them. If I assume, this is what I do. If I assume you're dealing with me in good faith, I'll address the arguments as they
Spain
fall.
Man beat Trell to it. No, Trell is usually the one with the songs, and Spain Man's like, I beat him. Got him.
Yeah, they on the same wavelength.
Yeah. What's that? That's the punk rock song, right? Me and you, we know, but man, yeah, I know exactly what song you're referencing, Spain Man. I know exactly what song you're referencing. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah. No, I agree. I just, bro, like, and remember, this is all in the backdrop of why the boys are moving the way they're moving, or in this case, maybe not moving the way that would be beneficial for society, and even for the women that kind of don't want them to, but kind of need them to.
The nature comes before the nurture.
I agree with that, actually.
In a way, yeah, but
yeah, I agree with that.
Sorry.
Period. In an exclusive sense.
So somewhere is BGS saying,
No, in a very binary exclusive sense, the nature always comes before the nurture. You can't actually explain any nurture without humans first forming societies or forming tribal societies. It's just not possible.
PK, be honest, you have Michael Jackson's Human Nature on your playlist. We have none that kind of.
all right, okay. Big Kev, your go.
Yeah, man. Like you said before, man. And I think what James said, where it's like if you're seen as an undesirable man, you're going to be seen either as a liability or as
a threat. Yeah, no, a threat or a liability.
Threat or a liability, yes.
Yeah.
And what I was about to say is, like overall, again, it's just one of those situations where incentives influence behavior. At the end of the day, you're going to have to make some corrections. We definitely need to
that needs to be put on a T-shirt, by the way, Big Kev. And incentives influence behavior. That need to be, if as a matter of fact, like that needs to be like the first thing out of any one of our mouths. The second we get in a conversation with family members or friends about the state of men, the state of boys now, and then we'd be like, well, and and what is the society really offering young boys and men for them to behave the way that would be beneficial for the society? Well, and there you go. Yeah, go ahead, Big Kev. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, like I said, incentives influence behavior. We need to get away with this idea of being a good man means doing something for free. It's like, because all that does is it just opens you up to have your charity and your compassion be abused and taken advantage of.
I agree.
The exploitation. Exactly. The bottom
line. You're trying to escort me? Go ahead. For those of you that watch Top Shotters, go ahead.
Exactly. But yeah, like at the end of the day, that's what's gonna have to happen. And I think it's definitely good. The people having these the people in the space having these conversations, because I think even Obsidian said at a point yesterday on his Luther video, it's like this is the reason why. When it comes to these like critical conversations, I mean, the so-called Black Minister is really the only game in town, because we're the only ones that's not afraid to like mince words, and
we're the ones that predict this shit. We be so on point.
Exactly. Oh. It's like 80% accuracy. It's like,
bro, this shit is ridiculous, bro.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ebony K. Williams. We told you she was angry. Go ahead.
Yep. And
loser.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be one of those situations, despite a lot of people arguing against the space, like a Mary Brown and them, and other people such as that, and all these detractors. The bottom line is this: is that until you until you actually address the issues and address the plight sincerely and not in some half-assed, half-baked way, but sincerely address the plight of these young men, especially these young brothers, you're going to keep experiencing these same problems. And all they're going to do, for the detractors of the space, all y'all two going to keep saying all that nonsense y'all talk about is just going to keep falling on deaf ears.
Yep. And it will hurt society. The young men's indifference will hurt society.
Exactly. And that's what they don't want. They want the idea of this like hot revolution, people just picking up guns and stuff like that. And trying to storm the Capitol.
No, it's going to be a fight club.
Exactly. Right, like in Fight Club. No, it's going to be happening where these young brothers are just going to get tired and say, fuck it, throw their hands up and say, fuck it, fuck you, and walk off, It's going to be almost like a worker strike, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where they just go right off your job and say, yep, go fuck yourself, go fuck this, be a man stuff, go fuck yourself. Unless you're paying me and giving me respect and some sexual gratification, some adequate sexual gratification for women,
genuine attraction.
Exactly.
I agree with Neymar on that one. Ain't nothing worse than reluctant anything. Reluctant sexual anything.
That's genuine attraction.
Yeah.
She hits you with starfish.
Hey, bruh.
No, just like no. But like you said, until you offer those incentives back, until they put the incentives back on the table, okay, and actually address the plight of these young men, these things are gonna keep rearing their ugly head, and they just do all this whining and crying and complaining about, but what about the women? It's like you don't gotta oppress the women. You just gotta stop treating. You don't gotta necessarily take away the rights of the women. You just gotta stop treating them like overgrown children.
Man, you better than me. I'm an asshole.
Yeah, like stop divorcing negative liberty from like accountability.
That's all they on right now.
Yeah, negative liberty and accountability go hand in hand.
I'm an asshole. Fucking, I go all the way. I'm full throated. Fucking full sex.
Oh no! Pause.
Yo, son,
what did you realize what you just said?
It ain't gotta be like that. No,
you don't have the words. You walked into it.
From now on, wait. From now on, we're gonna give a warning for if we're going 12 years old. If we go in 12, then that means that any and everything can be misinterpreted on purpose to be a pause moment. But right now we're not at 12-year-old mode. Right now we're not at 12-year-old mode. But when we go 12-year-old, y'all already know what it is.
All right,
any and everything.
I'm going there. Listen, I'm going there. Square taken for Big Kev. I actually called it a while ago. I said, I call it the strike of throwing your dick over your shoulder and going home, bro. Because they like to say that children are taking their ball and going home. I just say
balls.
Yeah,
I say balls.
And they're taking their dick and they're throwing it over their shoulder.
I actually said that because of the Ebony situation and the vials of sperm thing. And I'm like, yeah, nah, bro.
Take your dick and your balls and get out of here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, literally, like, y'all realize, like, literally, that's what brothers are doing. Like, literally, be like, yeah, nah, nope, yeah, nah. Right? Yeah. Because once again, as Big Kev said, what's the incentive? What changes behavior? Incentive? How did you say it, Big Kev?
Well, there are two things. There are incentives and disincentives. Period.
Well, that part.
Deterrence behavior.
And influences behavior. Okay, yeah, influences behavior. I love that, but I gotta put that on a T-shirt because that is what it is, right? And if the incentives aren't there, or if the incentives aren't, because I think they have like half-ass incentives both on the left and the right, right? Definitely more rhetoric than actually actions or plans.
Half-ass and disingenuous.
Yeah, and exactly. Real quick, Neighbor. So what I think they have half-ass incentives, but it's not real. So the men and the boys are not budging, right? And that's why you get this kind of thing where the boys, and as I was saying, I think it's disillusionment that's causing the boys to say, you know what, screw it. If my teachers are mainly Democrats, if the girls are mainly speaking in a leftist way, if what is air quotes appropriate language and all this other stuff and the tone policing and all that's coming from the left, at least what the boys are seeing right up front in their face, then they're like, yeah, I don't want to associate with this. This is weak, this is lame, this is corny. And I don't actually blame the young men for that. I don't, right? So it is definitely understandable. And once again, no incentives. What incentives? And that's where Christine Imba comes in and is like, exactly. Nice article. Nice, I read it. But outside of that, I mean, yawn. But yeah, go ahead, Neymar.
Yeah. First of all, I just wanted to address. I just want to acknowledge Broken Blade for the $2. Support Black Male Media. Damn right. Thank you for your $2, brother. Like I said earlier, like what Big Kev was saying about genuine sexual behavior and everything. Like certain things will change attitude. In fact, there's a link to a commercial I got to send you from Norway, where it talks about the gender dynamics. It's like a Black Phillip thing.
Yeah. Maybe
I'll send it to you sometime. I'll try, and maybe we could just like chop it up.
Because I know Norway has some, like, the marriage rate in Norway isn't that high, is
We're
it?
Egalitarian. We're
egalitarian. Yeah, truly, yeah. Yep.
Denmark, Sweden. But here's the problem. Yeah. Denmark is pretty much on the right, in a sense, politically, because they have some of the strictest immigration laws. Sweden, they've become the complete opposite. Norway, they kind of lean toward Denmark, but they resent the Danes and the Swedes for different reasons. So we're somewhere in the middle. But we are egalitarian. I mean, fathers, they do get paternal leave. And also, they also understand the importance of work-life balance because they understand, men.
Sounds like some soft lefty talk to me, sir. America. No, go ahead. I'm joking. There's
a pragmatism to it. There's a pragmatism.
Definitely.
I don't actually agree that that's the best outcome. I don't.
Just hear me out, PK.
Go ahead.
There's a practical use for all this in some of these countries where they talk about the work-life balance because these guys are pulling in like 35 to 40-hour weeks, something like that. Work weeks, and they understand that they need that these men that they understand the multifacets of men and women because the working age people, they're not only going to be your main tax base. This is also the people who are also going to be reproducing and siring and rearing the next generation.
Yes.
So you understand that they need a balance because you can't work in the death because you work in the death. Stress would just bring down the fertility rate. So you need. Why
can't you just do like America? Just pump them full of pills after you stress them to borderline death.
Because that's how you end up having a higher chance of children with defects.
And that's good because then you pump them with even more pills to try to correct the defects. Welcome to America.
Well, in Europe, they do have high restrictions on certain medications.
Wait. Don't forget to monetize it.
I'm messing with you, Neymar, because I need this dynamic to keep on going. And Neymar just said, wait, you said what did you just say, Neymar? Because I actually had an answer to that.
Work-life balance?
No. The last thing you said about the kids.
Fuck them kids?
Not fuck the kids.
Fuck the kids, yeah, fuck the kids. I hear you because they have low birth rates because they decent.
Well, then on the flip side, you should charge the couples that want to have kids with 10 racks to freeze the eggs and such, just like they do it in America.
No, because that's why people take ferries to Denmark. Because that's where you got the sperm banks and the fertility.
That's good for travel and the economy. You see what I'm doing here? You see how I'm making it all about the money? Welcome to America. America gets you. Pause on the comment, but America gets you coming and going. Oh, we're gonna make money off of you, player. Oh, we're gonna make. You have kids, we making money. You can't have kids, we making money. You struggle to have children, we making money. You need a babysitter, or we making money. You traveling to bring your kid to your parents' house to look at. We making money off of you. Left, right, front, back, center. You're getting piped by the system.
Daycare. Not to mention, the men and women are also in the military. They have national service. They made it now compulsory. Was it a few years ago? They made it compulsory for women as well. So they understand this is your reproductive age, your working age, fighting age.
Wait. I gotta read this one. No. I gotta read this. No. I gotta read this one because you gotta read it a certain way. I got that hopium. 1 for 5, 3 for 10. Hopium. Hey, bro, it's definitely like you definitely see that on like the street vendors. You definitely hear that like when you go to any type of flea market. I got the hopium.
Why
1
wouldn't
for
they?
the 5, 3 for the 10.
You go to
wouldn't I
UK.
just
You
keep
go to
doing the 1
UK.
for 5? Like I'd come out cheaper. Just 1 for
Yeah.
5
Hey,
infinitely.
DK. I mean, wait. Sorry, Mrs. Z. If you go to
Mhm.
the UK, them hustlers on the corner, the West Indian dudes.
Mhm.
Whenever they post that shit, they be like, they do it like as if they're dropping a dance hall beat. They're freestyling on a dance hall beat and something like that, just to keep the cups.
Nah,
off.
if you're in the South, it's the way it would say is 1 for exactly how better you said it.
No.
1 for the
I
1
mean,
for
in
the 5,
UK,
3.
in the
No,
UK.
I heard you. I heard you, Naaman. I heard you. I'm saying in the South, in America, it'll be 1 for the 5, 3 for the 10. We don't even say 1 for 5, 3. No, 1 for the 5, 3 for the 10.
I missed it.
3,
He
10 to
actually
10. Come bring it
throwing in
out.
Hey, y'all
Got the
got
one.
it.
hopium. Come on with it.
But
Okay,
yeah, we look at AB. You came super late. I'm closing out.
Hey, get ready to dip.
And literally, but we might revisit this again maybe Saturday.
Yeah.
So we might do a
let's that.
Saturday night panel or a Friday night panel. I haven't decided yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, we about to close out.
Mrs.
Naaman, give your final words. Go ahead and
My final words is this. First of all, let's be honest.
Mhm.
Young men, they're finally addressing, but not really addressing the situation with boys, but they're kind of like pushing it off to later until it's too late. And now you have like the Richard Reeves, the Temples, saying this shit what they are. There's some who are like the pseudo intellectuals and the actual intellectuals talking about this, but they're talking about white men. But understand that some of these young men are really on the edge, but not that many of them are going to jump over. And the ones who do,
I agree with that actually.
the ones who do, they will be used as the faces and the scapegoat all men. I mean, look at remember that documentary, The Mask He Lives In. There was a feminist anti-male bent to that documentary when they were talking about the boy crisis in that one. Because they brought up a certain
your problem as a boy is that you're trying to be a boy. Your problem is that you're not trying to be a girl.
They tried to use the Ala Vista shooter as someone who's a masculinist, as a misogynist. When I can tell you, he was a fucking simp and an entitled narcissist when you think about how he was. If you do a psychological profile on him, and but people are gonna equate what you're trying to be with certain people, and understand. Let's not also forget that women determine the trends. Because what certain women find attractive, every guy's gonna try to emulate that. Like I remember when Green Gorilla talked about
name it. We're trying to close out.
So anyway, with that being said, I just want to say y'all ain't shit. God bless you for it. And Mrs. Z, I'll send you that link to that to the cheese.
Yeah, emails in the description. Yeah, send it. Anybody that ever needed to send me anything, I'll put my email in the description of every video. So always check the email. Yeah. I put the link to whatever I'm gonna speak about or we're gonna do some commentary about. It's always in the description. So y'all always check the description box.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, but I'm gonna try to also write the dialogue and everything. I'll try to send a translation.
Oh, the translation. Okay, beautiful. Thank you.
If not, we can try to chop it. We can probably talk about it on the in the next hangout or something like that. If we can have fair use with it.
Okay. No, that's good. All right.
I'll admit.
All right, everybody. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We're gonna pause right here. Y'all have a great rest of y'all day. Go check out the Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, and Mr. Z's out. All right, everybody.